Q and Review, celebrating 40 years of audio production, welcomes you to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports podcast, recorded from our studio in the Bishopbriggs Media Centre and by our volunteers working from home. Keep up to date with Q and Review news via our Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, or Instagram at Q and Review. That's @CUEANDREVIEW, or get in touch with us directly by emailing information@qandreview.com. That's INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling us on 0141 772 3979. Please like and share our podcast and give us constructive feedback.
Evening Times Sport, February 25. Goal line technology call after Celtic VAR drama. Report by Lana Mackay. Celtic defender Alistair Johnston has called for goal line technology to be introduced in Scotland, with the defender insisting Celtic's disallowed goal in their 2-1 defeat to Hibs on Saturday was wrongly chalked off. Brendan Rodgers' side thought they had made it 2-2 when Dazin Maida fired in the would-be equaliser in the 83rd minute, but after a lengthy VAR check, it was deemed the ball had gone out of play before Johnson had put the cross in for Maida. The Hibs boss, Rodgers, was incensed with the officials after the game, claiming there was no conclusive evidence to prove the ball had gone over the line. Rodgers said yesterday that we go through the process. We don't make statements and all sorts of things. We just go through the procedure and the process, which is the club speak to the SFA and just get a feeling of what they think. Canadian right-back Johnson, reflecting on the Easter Road flashpoint ahead of the Premiership visit from Aberdeen, said, "I thought I got there in time. It felt like one of those ones that I knew was going to be close. But at the same time, I'm often putting crosses in from that exact area when I'm reaching, and that one to me felt like it was in. Obviously, the linesman thought it was in as well. Our whole fan base thought it was in. Everyone thought it was in. So we're just going to wait and hear what the exact explanation was on why it was overturned." Johnson added that he felt VAR should only have intervened if there was 100% certainty that the on-field officials had made an error in allowing the goal to stand. And he continued, "I think that's the frustrating part. If you want VAR to intervene, and especially on things where it's either yes or no, it's objective, it's not subjective. You need to then obviously have a camera angle that can prove that. Unfortunately, I think up here that it's not in the budget, but we obviously just don't have enough camera angles to really have 100% certainty on decisions. If that's the case, then you really should stick with what the officials have made the decision on the field with. I think that's something everyone can kind of agree on. If the money's there to have the goal line technology and the cameras and all the different angles, then that would be unbelievable, because you would make sure that you would get all those calls 100% correct. But at the same time, if it's not there for whatever reason, then we've also got to trust that the people, the referees, are of the standard to be able to do their job, and trust that they're doing their job correctly." Report by Lana Mackay. Evening Times Sport, February 25. Huge cost of sacking Clement. Report by Lana Mackay. Philippe Clement is entitled to receive a significantly higher payoff from Rangers than previously thought. The decision to remove the Belgian as head coach was confirmed by the Ibrox club on Sunday night, with former captain Barry Ferguson set to take over on an interim basis until the end of the season. Reports last week suggested Clement's settlement figure stood at £1.2 million. However, the fee is now believed to be much higher, according to the Daily Record. After signing a contract extension in the summer, which would have kept him at the club until 2028, Clement's seven terms rose substantially. A final figure is still being agreed between the Ibrox hierarchy and the outgoing manager. There have also been reports claiming that Clement had agreed to forgo half his payoff, and it remains to be seen whether Clement will receive a lump sum or will be left on gardening leave. Report by Lana Mackay. Evening Times Sport, February 25. Glasgow School of Sport facing closure ahead of Commonwealth Games. Report by Gabriel Mackay. Scotland's only school dedicated to sporting excellence is facing closure, with the programme to be wound down weeks before the Commonwealth Games in the city. Glasgow School of Sport, based at Bellahouston Academy, opened in 1998 for talented young athletes across Scotland and is run as a partnership between the Council and Glasgow Life. Alumni include Commonwealth Games silver medal badminton player Kirsty Gilmer and swimmer Michael Jamieson, a silver medalist at both the 2012 Olympics and the 2014 Commonwealth Games. The school currently has 65 pupils specialising in one of athletics, badminton, gymnastics, hockey or swimming, but under plans to be voted on by Glasgow City Council, it will be shut down and replaced by a bursary scheme. A report prepared by Bailey Annette Christie, City Convener for Culture, Sport and International Relations, for the City Administration Committee, notes that 40 of the pupils, 62%, currently attend from 12 other local authorities, and that for each school session, the city was spending around £380,000 to educate pupils not from Glasgow. Glasgow Life and the City Council wrote to the other local authorities and Scottish Government seeking financial support, but those requests proved unsuccessful. While talks were ongoing, no new pupils were accepted to the School of Sport, and Sport Scotland, the Scottish Institute of Sport, and the governing bodies of the respective sports were able to provide the money needed. The report recommends that a transition programme be set up to the end of June 2026 to allow pupils currently enrolled to continue their studies and training, with a new bursary scheme to be brought in to replace the school. Glasgow is set to host the 2026 Commonwealth Games from July 23 to August 2 of next year. The Herald and the Evening Times revealed in November 2023 that no new admissions would be accepted for 24-25 amid a review of funding. With the recommendation to close the School of Sport, existing pupils will be given the option to continue their education at Bellahouston Academy after June 2026 if they wish to do so. Of the 65 currently enrolled in the School of Sport, 15 do athletics, 10 badminton, 13 gymnastics, 8 hockey and 19 swimming. Balancing a timetable of sporting and academic studies, pupils undertake between 9 to 14 periods of dedicated sports coaching within their academic school week. A spokesperson for Glasgow Life said, "The current School of Sport model was introduced more than 25 years ago and was designed to meet the needs of pupils from across Scotland at the time. Since then, national funding for governing bodies of sport has improved the support they offer prospective athletes considerably, offering multiple pathways to elite sports competition. In considering whether Glasgow School of Sport offers the appropriate model in the wider national context, we have also proposed a new way to support young athletes from Glasgow to achieve their full potential." Report by Gabriel Mackay. Evening Times Sport, February 25. Motor racing. Glasgow Film Festival to premiere Damon Hill story. Report by Susan Egglestaff. Most people, even those with only a fleeting interest in motorsport, know something of Damon Hill's story. From the day he was born, he's been in the spotlight, thanks to the fact his father was two-time Formula One world champion Graham Hill. Hill ultimately emulated his father, but the path that led the Englishman to his own Formula One world title in 1996 was far from smooth. As Hill acknowledges himself, his racing career has been covered in detail, but there's many arguably more interesting aspects to Hill's life. Indeed, it's likely that Hill would never have become a Formula One driver had it not been for the tragedy that struck his family when he was just 15 years old. In November 1975, the light aircraft that Hill's father was piloting crashed, killing all 6 men on board. It was this event which would shape the rest of Hill's life. With the release of a new documentary film entitled Hill, which will have its world premiere at the Glasgow Film Festival on Thursday, the 64-year-old peels back the curtain on a life which has seen him endure monumental challenges and scale incredible heights. Says Hill, "Having been part of this famous family, I've been scrutinized throughout my life, and a lot of my story has been covered. What has not happened is for the family side of things to be shown and the emotional effect of being in Formula One. The racing is normally the only visible part. What you don't see is ordinary life carrying on in the background. So that's what this film is about." Growing up, Hill's father was often absent from family life due to his commitments as a Formula One driver, with Hill's interests lying in motorbikes rather than racing cars. The plane crash and the demise of his father, however, changed the course of Hill's life entirely. Soon after his father's death, he tipped his toe into single-seater racing, and this would be the first steps on a journey that would take him to the pinnacle of his sport. Hill's desire to succeed, though, was complex, and he admits was fueled at least in part by the loss of his father. He asks, "What was the purpose of me racing? There was an element of me trying to reinstate something that was destroyed or lost. Maybe I was trying to right some of the wrongs of the past. That was an aspect of what was going on, but I don't think it was the whole thing. You cannot entirely concoct motivation. It's either in you or it is not." In 1992, Hill, then aged 31, became test driver for Williams, but it was 2 years later, having become Williams' number 2 driver, behind all-time great Ayrton Senna, in which Hill experienced the most extreme lows the sport can possibly present. The first came at the San Marino Grand Prix, when Senna was killed in an accident whilst leading the race. It was a moment that shook not only the racing world but global sport, and for Hill, being inside the bubble rather than on the outside looking in, like most observers, was something of a surreal experience. Perhaps surprisingly though, witnessing the dangers of the sport at such close quarters did little to dampen his will to pursue a career in Formula One. And he says, the Senna accident was traumatic for everyone, but of course mostly for his family. They were devastated, but the fans also felt it very keenly. For me, it was a challenge because I was Ayrton's teammate, although I had not been a teammate of his for long, and I would never claim to know him very well. But when you've got someone in the same room with you in the morning, and then they're not there in the afternoon, it's quite shocking. But, as drivers, we are, sad to say, a bit short of imagination, and I think most of us just cannot imagine stopping. Driving's what we do, and it's what we love, so we just get back into the car and hope the odds improve. Senna's death meant Hill was elevated to Williams' top driver, and he ended up going for the 1994 World Championship against none other than Michael Schumacher. In the season's final race, with Hill and Schumacher going head-to-head for the world title, the German collided with the Englishman, many believe intentionally, causing both to retire from the race and handing Schumacher his first world championship. It was a devastating blow for Hill, and for that reason, amongst others, he always found it difficult to have much affection for his younger rival. Hill recalls, Schumacher was a difficult person to get to know, and a difficult person to like. He was supremely confident to the point of being aloof, and I think he was quite happy to cut off any relationships before they even got going. So there was never much going on between us other than the driving rivalry. The following year was a disappointment for Hill, despite finishing second in the championship. But going into 1996 he was confident, in part due to the mental toughness that his previous campaigns had fostered, that a first world title would come his way. And he says, elite sport is supposed to take you to the very edge of what your capability is, and you want to find out what your limit is. So going into 96, I was pretty confident, and after 94 and 95, things did feel easier in comparison. In the end, 96 was relatively straightforward. Hill's route to the World Championship was uncomplicated, with 8 Grand Prix wins ensuring he beat his Williams teammate Jacques Villeneuve to the title. The Englishman departed Williams at the end of the 1996 season, and despite continuing his racing career for 3 more years, never again scaled the same heights. He ended his career, though, content, and admits his father would have scarcely believed that his son had achieved in Formula 1. Hill remains unsure of the path he would have taken had his father not been killed. One thing seems certain, though, Hill's life would not be nearly as film-worthy as it became. And he says, if you could have told my dad when he was alive that I'd be World Formula 1 champion, he would just never have believed it. I don't think he could have conceived of me being able to achieve that. I don't know what I would have been doing if he had not died. I can only imagine. Maybe I would have been working with his team. I might have been a truckie or something. It's just impossible to know where I'd be today. Report by Susan Egglestaff. Evening Times Sport, February 25. Jose Mourinho involved in racism row before Rangers clash. Report by Ewan Payton. Jose Mourinho has been caught up in a racism row just a week before his team faces Rangers in the Europa League round of 16. Galatasaray have announced they plan to launch criminal proceedings against the Fenerbahce coach for his derogatory statements about Turkish people. The teams drew 0-0 on Monday evening. Post-match, the former Chelsea, Real Madrid, Manchester United and Tottenham manager made comments about Galatasaray bench jumping like monkeys. A statement from Galatasaray said Mourinho has persistently issued derogatory statements directed towards the Turkish people since taking over at Fenerbahce in June 2024. The statement said, "Today, his discourse has escalated beyond merely immoral comments into unequivocally inhumane rhetoric. We hereby formally declare our intention to initiate criminal proceedings concerning the racist statements made by Jose Mourinho and shall accordingly submit official complaints to UEFA and FIFA." Rangers are set to travel to Turkey next midweek for the first leg of the last 16 tie against Fenerbahce on Thursday, March 6. Describing Mourinho's conduct as reprehensible, it said rivals Fenerbahce professed to uphold exemplary moral values. The statement was posted on the club website under the headline, "Say No to Racism." Earlier this season, Mourinho was handed a one-match ban and fined almost £15,000 for his response to Fenerbahce's 3-2 Super League victory at Trabzonspor. The Portuguese was charged with unsportsmanlike behaviour towards opposing team fans and diminishing the value of Turkish football and discrediting the impartiality of the referee and other match officials during an outspoken post-match interview. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, February 26. Celtic fans pity Rangers, admits McCoist. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Rangers legend Ali McCoist was in no mood to discuss Barry Ferguson's appointment as interim manager when quizzed by Alan Brazil on TalkSport's breakfast show. The Ibrox icon, clearly taken aback by recent developments at the club, admitted that even Celtic fans have stopped mocking Rangers and now feel sympathy for their rivals, who are now trailing by 16 points in the Scottish Premiership table. Ferguson's tenure begins at Rugby Park tonight against Kilmarnock, but his biggest test will come next week in the Europa League against Fenerbahce, Rangers' best chance at silverware this season. Ferguson has been handed the reins on a short-term basis following Philippe Clement's departure on Sunday, with 15 games to make his mark. He is joined by a backroom staff comprising several former players, with Brazil questioning what coaching credentials former goalkeeper Alan McGregor has to be in such a role. Ferguson's CV appears underwhelming to many, yet the new man in the Ibrox helm has urged supporters to judge him on how he fares during his latest position, rather than past managerial stints at Blackpool, Clyde, Kelty Hearts and Alloa. However, when pressed about the change in the Rangers dugout by Celtic fan Brazil, McCoist was reluctant to engage. "I don't want to talk about it," he responded when Brazil asked, "What the hell is happening at Ibrox?" Brazil was not deterred and continued his grilling, questioning McGregor's coaching qualifications. He shouted, "You've got to. The goalkeeper, Alan McGregor, what badges has he got to coach?" McCoist defended the newly assembled Rangers management team and said, "I don't know. I don't want to talk about it. I'm fully behind the boys and I hope they do well. That's all I'm saying on it." Many onlookers had to look twice when the notifications came through confirming Ferguson as Clement's temporary successor, and it appeared to also catch out the radio duel. Brazil chimed back, "When I saw the news on my phone, I was like, what? Has it gone down a sinkhole, Ibrox, or something?" McCoist confessed, "I was the same, but I am more perplexed by why you extend the manager's contract, then get rid of him. You give a centre-back, Connor Goldson, who has been excellent for us, an extra couple of years, and then you have got to pay him up." The conversation then shifted to the club's ownership situation, with speculations surrounding a potential takeover by a United States consortium linked to the San Francisco 49ers continuing to create headlines. Brazil expressed confusion over why Clement was dismissed before any deal was finalised, suggesting a more cautious approach should have been taken, given the Light Blues' domestic season has already unravelled significantly. McCoist echoed the sentiment, questioning the decision-making process from Rangers CEO Patrick Stewart and the club's hierarchy, and he commented, 100% you would, unless they have told them to do it before they get in. You would hope that. Get some of the dirty work done before they come in. You would hope that is the case. But in answer to your question, I don't know. I am devastated. Celtic supporters are not even laughing at us anymore. My mates are Celtic boys, and they are messaging me asking, what is going on there? There is nothing worse than getting sympathy from your biggest rivals. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Evening Times Sport, February 26. Jude Bonner's childhood dream comes true. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Jude Bonner fulfilled a lifelong ambition last night, making his senior debut for Celtic in a commanding 5-1 victory over Aberdeen. The 19-year-old, who has been part of the club since he was just 7 years old, was introduced by manager Brendan Rodgers in the 80th minute, replacing Aaron Engels for the final action of the Scottish Premiership clash at Celtic Park. Bonner's debut marks a significant milestone in his career, having risen through the ranks of Celtic's youth academy. The midfielder joins Francis Turley and Daniel Cummings as the latest academy prospects to earn their competitive debut under Rodgers this season. Bonner reflected on the achievement with Celtic TV after the match, saying, "It's hard to put it into words. It's something I've dreamed of since I was wee, so just getting the call-up and being able to come on is just class. It's crazy, you know, training with them, being up recently every day, just seeing what they're all about, and then being amongst it just makes you feel class. It just motivates me even more, especially training with them, the quality of them, being able to keep up. It's just a good confidence boost. Rogers was equally as pleased to be able to provide the youngster valuable first-team minutes, and the Celtic boss said, "It was great for young Jude Bonner to get his first appearance. He's been working very hard with the second team. He's got a good profile. He fits how we want to play. So that was a nice little taster for him." Report by Robbie Hanratty. Evening Times Sport, February 26. Mourinho could face Ibrox dugout ban as his side faces Rangers. Report by Mark Walker. Jose Mourinho is facing a sweat over a dugout ban for Ibrox after Galatasaray demanded UEFA take action against him. Rangers face Fenerbahce in the Europa League round of 16, with the first leg in Istanbul next week, before the return in Glasgow. Fenerbahce boss Mourinho's antics in their derby at Galatasaray, where he claimed the home bench were jumping around like monkeys, sparked outrage among the hosts, who have accused him of racism. Mourinho is already facing a disciplinary charge from the Turkish FA, and now Galatasaray's director of sport, Abdullah Kavuku, has demanded UEFA take action. He said, "We have reported him to UEFA. We will do everything necessary regarding Jose Mourinho. He has officially committed racism. They and the Turkish FA must make a stand against his clear case of racism. Both of them have to punish him." European football's governing body have the power to slap a 10-game ban on Mourinho under their Article 14 rules, and the former Chelsea, Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur boss will face an anxious wait to see if he is allowed to take his place in the Ibrox dugout. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, February 26. Petition launched to save threatened Glasgow School of Sport. Report by Gabriel Mackay. A petition has been set up urging Glasgow City Council and Glasgow Life not to vote through proposals to close the Glasgow School of Sport. As first reported by the Herald and the Evening Times this week, Scotland's only elite sports school, based at Bellahouston Academy, is to be shut down in June 2026 and replaced with a bursary scheme under proposals to be voted on by the Council this week. Parents and pupils have said they were not involved in the consultation process for the report, which has gone before councillors, while alumnus and Olympic medalist Michael Jimison said it was not a good look ahead of Glasgow hosting the Commonwealth Games just weeks after the proposed closure date. A petition to save the school has attracted close to 500 signatures in less than 24 hours. The petitioners write, "Glasgow School of Sport, a vital institution for young athletes, is set to close due to a lack of funding. Shockingly, pupils and parents were not informed directly. The only message received on Friday vaguely mentioned changes, but the truth was only discovered through an online report. This means young athletes are losing crucial training, coaching, and opportunities to achieve their sporting dreams, without even being given proper notice or a say in the decision. We cannot stay silent. Share this post, tag fellow athletes and demand answers. The future of Scotland's young sports stars is at stake. Glasgow City Council, please review your support for sports, especially looking to close only Scotland's only sports school the year of the Commonwealth Games. The parents of a pupil on a swimming scholarship at the school say it has transformed her son's life. She told the Herald and Times, "My shy 12-year-old has flourished into a confident, focused young man who strives for excellence. He feels safe at the School of Sport to ask questions when he needs clarification, and it is an environment where he has flourished." The programme at the School of Sport allows every athlete to reach their potential. The staff are willing to assist wherever they can and will go above and beyond for every athlete. We, as a family, cannot imagine a life without Glasgow School of Sport. My son is on his Nat 5 journey, having picked subjects, and now will be at a disadvantage by having to add subjects later on to his programme. It will also be a much more challenging journey swimming-wise, as our schedules will all have to change. I think the council are just looking at it from a pounds and pence perspective, and have not thought about the fact this impacts children and their futures. Would this disruption be what you would want for your child? Glasgow City Council and Glasgow Life said they had no further comment ahead of the council meeting tomorrow. A spokesman for Glasgow Life said when first approached, the current School of Sport model was introduced more than 25 years ago and was designed to meet the needs of pupils from across Scotland at the time. Since then, national funding for governing bodies of sport has improved the support they offer prospective athletes, offering multiple pathways to elite sports competition. In considering whether Glasgow School of Sport offers the appropriate model in the wider national context, we have also proposed a new way to support young athletes from Glasgow to achieve their full potential. Report by Gabriel Mackay. Evening Times Sport, February 26. Rodgers salutes fantastic Celtic. Report by Josh McCafferty. Brendan Rodgers has saluted his Celtic team after they romped to a 5-1 win over Aberdeen in the Scottish Premiership. Daizen Maeda opened the scoring early, before Jota soon added a second on a breakaway. Callum McGregor made it 3 before half-time, as Yang added a fourth in the second 45. Shayden Morris got one back for the visitors in the dying embers, but Maeda bagged his second of the night to make it 5, deep into stoppage time. Rodgers spoke out later and said, "It was a fantastic win. The result was outstanding. I've also got to remember that these guys have been playing non-stop for 3.5 months, and the level and intensity they have given me has been incredible. It was very good by the end." Now 16 points clear of City rivals Rangers at the top of the Scottish Premiership. Next up for Celtic is a trip to face St Mirren on Saturday evening. Rodgers' men are now just 5 wins away from securing their 4th consecutive league title after yet another emphatic victory. It was on the whole a comfortable night in Glasgow's East End for the Parkhead side, who now fool their attention to Paisley, a ground where they won 3-0 on their last visit. But despite that win, Aaron Engels has revealed that the players were not happy in the dressing room at half-time. The Belgian midfielder did not score himself, but helped set up a few and was named man of the match. While they were not at their swashbuckling best in that opening 45 minutes, they went on to comfortably win. Despite possessing such an advantage in the table, Engels revealed that those wearing green and white were not in a wholly positive mood at the break. He said, "It was not our best first half. Everybody was coming into the dressing room not happy because some things were not going our way and how we wanted to play, so we changed some things." Evening Times Sport, February 26. Schlupp details first chat with easy-going Brendan Rodgers. Report by Josh McCafferty. Jeffrey Schlupp says that Brendan Rodgers easily sold him on his move to Celtic. The left-back joined the Parkhead side at the end of the January transfer window, coming in on loan from English Premier League side Crystal Palace. While Schlupp initially came in to provide cover for Greg Taylor at left-back, the 32-year-old has established himself as a first-choice starter in the team. He starred away at Bayern Munich and once again got the nod for his team against Aberdeen in the Scottish Premiership last night. Schlupp lifted the lid on his first chat with Rodgers and how the pair instantly clicked, and he told Sky Sports, "I had played against his teams. As soon as we spoke, it was as if we'd known each other for years. He's a really easy-going guy, and again his CV speaks for itself. I was buzzing to work under him, and now I am." Although only due to be at Celtic until the end of the campaign, Schlupp's Palace contract expires in the summer. He will be a free agent, naturally posing the question of whether a permanent move to Glasgow's East End could come to fruition. The Ghana international is laid back about his long-term future, however, and he said, "Nothing has been talked about. What will be, will be. I'm obviously loving my time here. All focus is on this season, and then we'll see what happens after that." Report by Josh McCafferty. Evening Times Sport, February 27. Caledonian Gladiators break women's attendance record. Report by Ewan Payton. Caledonian Gladiators have become the first basketball team in Scotland to attract more than 1,000 fans for a home fixture. The pro basketball side sold a record 1,016 tickets for the club's tightly fought 58-66 loss against Super League Basketball League leaders Auckland Wolves at the PlaySport Arena on Sunday. The milestone comes just weeks after the club became Scotland's first women's basketball team to win major silverware as they won the Super League Basketball Trophy final in Birmingham. Sunday's attendance tops the previous record from April last year, when 917 supporters watched the club defeat Newcastle Eagles 90-58 in East Kilbride. Chantel Handy, the head coach, said, "Topping 1,000 fans for the first time for a Scottish team in a home match is an achievement we are all extremely proud of. We're really growing the sport here in Scotland, and this feels like another important milestone for us as a club. The support the fans have given us has been incredible since we moved to the new arena, and we want to continue to grow these numbers in the months and years ahead." Owner Steve Timoney said, "I would like to thank our supporters for the tremendous support they've given us since we moved to East Kilbride at the start of last season. It is a real credit to Chantel and the women's team and how they have performed recently that we have reached this landmark attendance for a women's match. There's a lot of important games for the men's and women's teams as the season progresses, and we're hoping for some more big crowds in the coming weeks. Oakland Wolves were also the opponents for the Gladiators as they claimed their first major title in Birmingham last month. The victory comes just under 2 years after the franchise men's team won their first silverware in 20 years when they won the then BBL trophy in 22-23. The women's team, who again competed in Europe this year, currently sit in 5th place in Super League basketball. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, February 27. Dire admission that facing Celtic's Maida is no joke. Report by Matthew Lindsay. If Cameron Carter-Vickers still needed any confirmation about how much of an impact his Celtic teammate Daizen Maida has made in Europe this season, he received it after the Bayern Munich game last week. Carter-Vickers caught up with Eric Dyer, who he played alongside during his time at Tottenham, following the 1-1 draw with the German Giants in the Allianz Arena. All the England international could speak about was the Japanese winger. Dyer revealed that he and his fellow Bayern players had all been bowled over by the personal performances that Maida had produced in both legs of the Champions League last 16 doubleheader. Said Cameron Vickers, I was actually talking to Eric Dyer after we played Bayern, and he said after the first leg, all the Bayern players were talking about Daizen, about how much he runs and how much energy he puts into the game. It is incredible. We were just having a general chat about the two games, and he just said after the first leg, they got the running stats put up in their changing room. Everyone was talking about how much high-speed distance he did. It is crazy. We get all the stats in terms of high-speed running and sprint distances, and he is always top of the charts for all that. His work rate is incredible. He outworks defenders, is always on the move, is hard to pick up. He is a threat. Maida produced another standout display in the 5-1 win over Aberdeen at Parkhead on Tuesday night. He scored 2 goals to take his tally for the 24-25 campaign for club and country to 26. Carter-Vickers was unsurprised. The man who is the favourite to pick up the Player of the Year awards, which will be handed out in May, and who was once again played as striker by his manager Brendan Rodgers on Tuesday night, was so influential in the William Hill Premiership match against the Pittodrie side. He said his first goal against Aberdeen came from nothing. He is the only one alive in the box, and he taps it home. He has scored a few goals like that recently. It is definitely a big help to the team. I'm not really surprised how well he's done as a striker, to be fair. He is an intelligent football player. We know he can play on the wings or through the middle. For Japan, he plays through the middle, so he has definitely got that know-how. No, I am not too surprised. I wouldn't say I've seen an improvement in him, but he has definitely been peaking at the moment. Whether that is fitness-wise, I don't know. He is always on the move, always running. I don't know if he is improving. We always knew he had that quality, and he is showing it now. Physically, in terms of his running power and capacity, I don't know if anyone in the squad could get to that level, to be honest. I think it is something unique to him that he has naturally. But when you see a guy working that hard, it definitely makes you want to work that hard and put in a shift as well. So in that way it helps. Rodgers admitted after the Aberdeen triumph that he expects Mader's form to be attracting attention from clubs around Europe. But Carter Vickers is optimistic Celtic can hold on to a forward who is as entertaining off the park as he is on it. And he said, "I don't know what is going on in his head, but he seems to be enjoying his football at the moment, and he is great to have around the training ground. He definitely seems happy to me, but I am not him. His English has improved since he has been here. He is a funny guy, actually. He's quietly funny. He is a little bit of a prankster. It is just little things. He doesn't necessarily talk too much. It is his mannerisms and stuff like that. He definitely likes a little laugh." Carter Vickers and his fellow Celtic defenders also acquitted themselves well against Aberdeen. But the United States international confessed the last-minute goal they allowed Shayden Morris to score had irked them, and stressed they are keen to do better at the back in their remaining fixtures. "It was annoying," he said, as he turned his attention to the Premiership encounter with St Mirren Paisley on Saturday evening. "You obviously do want to keep clean sheets, especially as a defender. It is something we will look at and try and improve on. When you win 5-1, you cannot have too many complaints, but we obviously want to play well and grow as a team. We have 10 games left, and we want to win all of them and perform well in all of them. Our focus going into each game will be trying to perform at our maximum." Report by Matthew Lindsay. Evening Times Sport, February 27. Future of forgotten player at Celtic. Report by Mark Walker. Celtic hold the future of lone defender Gustav Lagerbilke in their own hands, 20 and Sheddy technical director Jan Strauer has revealed. The Swedish defender is a key player for the Dutch side and has impressed since his loan move at the start of the season. However, 20 did not include an option to buy in the deal and would have to negotiate a transfer fee with the Scottish Premiership champions. Lagerbilke, who still has 2.5 years left of his Parkhead deal, hinted earlier this month he would be keen to turn the move into a permanent one. But 20's Strauer admits the ball is in Celtic court and said, "We will have to wait and see. It's also important to find out what Celtic want. Do they want to keep him? Do they see him as part of their squad or not? For us, he is a good player. He has a good mentality and is a good header of the ball. He is getting better and better. But we have no idea what Celtic want. Do they have enough good players there already? Maybe they want to loan him out for another year. We have to wait and see." Lagerbilke cost Celtic £4 million when he signed in 2023 from his homeland club Elfsborg. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, February 27. Morelos hails Gerrard as biggest influence. Report by Mark Walker. Alfredo Morelos has revealed how Steven Gerrard finally tamed him at Rangers, and he credits the former Ibrox boss as the biggest influence in his career. The Colombian forward collected 8 red cards during his time at Rangers, and at one stage, following a 5th sending off in one season following a defeat at Celtic in 2019, Gerrard said he could not defend Morelos anymore. Morelos, now back in his homeland with Nacional, revealed how a chat with the Liverpool legend finally saw the penny drop for him. In a podcast in South America, he said, "Steven Gerrard loved me so much. He was my biggest influence. You could see when I was on the pitch at Rangers, I was always in a state of aggression. In Scotland, I was a striker who was shown a lot of red cards and yellow cards. But Steven Gerrard helped me grow as a footballer and a person, and he taught me many things. In the first few seasons at Rangers, I had a lot of disciplinary problems. Not only did Gerrard defend me, but he channeled my intensity in a positive way. He had his own way of correcting me and making me see the importance of my image within football. When I did something wrong, he would call me, take out a translator, and put me in front of the television. He would say to me, Alfredo, look what all the media are saying about you. Then, when I started scoring a lot of goals in the Europa League, he would say, look at the difference now, and it's because of the good things you are now doing in your career. All of this made me reflect and control my emotions better on the pitch. I have improved that side of my game. But I will not change my temperament on the pitch completely, because that is what characterises me as a player. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, February 27. Dessers details Ferguson's half-time team talk at Kilmarnock. Report by Josh McCafferty. Cyril Dessers has lifted the lid on what Barry Ferguson told the Rangers dressing room at half-time during their comeback victory over Kilmarnock. The visitors to Rugby Park went 2-0 down early doors thanks to goals from Joe Wright and Brad Lyons, which sent Kilmarnock on their way. After an early substitution, which saw Ridvan Yilmaz replace Clinton Nisala, Rangers rallied as Vaclav Černý, Dessers and Nedim Bajrami scored in what turned out to be, in the end, a comfortable 4-2 win. Speaking afterwards, striker Dessers lifted the lid on what Ferguson told his players at the break, and he said, obviously he was not happy. We knew that. He said, we're still in the game. Černý got us back into the game, so you're still in there, and you have to match their intensity and fight, and the quality will show. Next up for Ferguson and company is a home game against Motherwell in the Scottish Premiership this weekend. The 47-year-old stint in charge of the club he gave so much to as a player could not have started any better, and he will now look to build on such a positive beginning. Meanwhile, Ferguson himself explained why he subbed off Clinton Nisala half an hour into that Rangers win. Early doors, it was a big call from Ferguson to bring off the defender who had started Rangers' previous 3 matches before the trip to Rugby Park. Ferguson explained, when things are not going your way, you have to make tough decisions. Clinton's young, he'll learn from that. I felt we had to make this change. Report by Josh McCafferty. Evening Times Sport, February 27. Tavarny reveals what he told Nisala after early substitution. Report by Josh McCafferty. James Tavarny has revealed what he told Clinton Nisala after he was substituted half an hour into Rangers' game against Kilmarnock last night. The Ibrox club went 2-0 down within the first 14 minutes at Rugby Park, and early into his first game at the helm, interim head coach Barry Ferguson made a bold move in bringing off the young defender. The change eventually proved dividends, as Ferguson's team went on to win 4-2. As Nisiala came off, Tavarni moved in to play at central defence. Post-match, he revealed what he told the 21-year-old after he was brought off. "Clinton's a young lad," said the Rangers captain. "I was chatting to him. It's things you've just got to keep working on. He cannot put his head down. These are things that just come with football. We'll all get around him." Undoubtedly a big call for Ferguson to make so early into his period in charge of Rangers. The decision to hook Nisiala early proved crucial. It brought stability at the back and allowed Rangers to motor towards a much-needed victory. Speaking later, Ferguson lifted the lid on the early change and said, "I have got to make decisions. Clinton's a young player. He's got huge potential, but it could have been a number of players. But I've been brought here to do a job. I have to make some tough decisions at times. I'm not scared to make tough decisions, but it worked." Ferguson will now look to make it back-to-back wins in charge of Rangers when they welcome Motherwell to Ibrox this weekend. Report by Josh McCafferty. Evening Times Sport, March 3. Celtic against Cork clash confirmed for the summer. Report by Ewan Payton. Celtic's participation in a friendly match against Cork City has officially been confirmed. Brendan Rodgers' side will travel to Ireland to play in the inaugural Cork Super Cup on July 8. The game will be held at Cork GAA's stadium. In what will be just the third ever football match to be played at the ground, a sellout crowd is expected for the pre-season friendly clash involving the Hoops. In Celtic's official press release, they state that organisers believe the fixture could generate around €6 million. Michael Martin said, "The Cork Super Cup will be a wonderful showcase of sport for the city and of super value as a host of major events. I would like to commend Cork GAA for their ongoing vision for the stadium and wish both teams and all the supporters well this summer." Kevin O'Donovan, CEO of Cork GAA, said, "This is another opportunity to share our stadium with the world and help show Cork as an excellent destination for sports tourism. We are fortunate that one of the world's most successful soccer teams has agreed to return to Cork, and we have been engaging with Cork City Football Club to ensure that both sets of fans really enjoy the experience. Every event such as this generates funding streams that we can reinvest in the stadium and in our own games, so everyone wins." Celtic have played Cork City in friendlies on Leeside before, including a famous 2-0 victory for the home side during a visit in 1992. While a team of Celtic and Manchester United legends played a team of Ireland legends at the stadium in 2018 in memory of the late Liam Miller. Brendan Rodgers said, "We are delighted to be travelling to Cork to play in this fantastic match in the summertime. We will be visiting a great stadium in a fine city, and we are sure the game will be a wonderful occasion. Celtic's Irish connections are very important to the club, and we are sure there will be huge interest in the match. From my own perspective, it will be great to be going home to Ireland, but also from a footballing side, we are really looking forward to the match against Cork City, which will be an important part of our preparations for next season." Cork City manager Tim Clancy added, "We are lucky to have such an incredible fan base at City and know they will turn out in force to show Celtic what the rebel army is capable of. We have enjoyed incredible support since the start of the League of Ireland Premier Division season, and the opportunity to play a fantastic team in Celtic at an iconic setting is one that both the team and the fans can look forward to. Report by Ewan Payton. Evening Times Sport, March 3. Scotland eligible MLS goalkeeper reveals international hopes. Report by Mark Walker. Chicago Fire keeper Chris Brady has revealed he is determined to play international football as Scotland boss Steve Clarke eyes him for a shock call-up. The 20-year-old is eligible to play for Scotland, and reports that last month suggested the SFA had reached out to him to discover whether he would be interested in representing Steve Clarke's side. He was capped 3 times for the USA under-23s in the build-up to last year's Olympics, but did not make the American squad. Scotland are having to rely on 42-year-old Hearts keeper Craig Gordon and Angus Gunn, with the Norwich City keeper having his season disrupted by injuries. And Brady has admitted he would love to show his talents on the international stage ahead of Scotland's Nations League relegation playoffs with Greece later this month. He said, "I just want to make a name for myself. I think that's something that I have not been able to do quite yet on the most senior national team level. So I would say, going forward, that's something that I'm kind of geared towards making an impact. It is extremely important to impress if you go to a national team camp and there's close to no time to work on training. You're in the hotel going over set pieces and how the game is going to look, and that's kind of the only time you get to be adaptable. But yes, I want to showcase what I can do on the international stage in 2025. My confidence in the role of being a goalkeeper for a team that plays on a stage like this has definitely grown. My adaptability has grown. I'm very open now, especially now, to new systems, new ideas, new coaches. My ability to take crosses, confidence in the box, in the air, I feel I've grown quite a bit, and I feel more calm with the ball at my feet. And that's a big change when you compare the way I was playing a year or two ago, where I was so rushed when I had the ball at my feet, to where now everything slowed down through my eyes. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, March 3. Nick Rodger reports on the swinging 60s as golden oldie Langer refuses to contemplate retirement. Are you getting yourself worked up into a giddy fankle for the Ryder Cup? No? Well, that's hardly surprising. It's still 7 months away after all. Us lot in the golf media, on the other hand, can just about smell the excitement in the air, because it's being wafted in by giant industrial-sized excitement turbines, or something like that. By all accounts, September's clash between the United States and Europe at Bethpage Park in New York is going to be as rowdy as a night out with a load of squaddies, and that could just be the partying and jousting among the opposing factions in the media centre. In footage released from Full Swing, the latest edition of the golf docu-series that goes behind the scenes of the PGA Tour, Keegan Bradley, the United States Ryder Cup skipper, is captured delivering a rallying cry that was akin to lighting the blue touch paper with a stick of dynamite. "We're gonna go to Bethpage to kick their effing ass," he bellowed. The gentleman's game, eh? The Ryder Cup, of course, is not short of explosive episodes. In 1999, the notorious Battle of Brookline just about ended golf. When the transatlantic tussle returned to United States soil in 2004, any potential partisan palavers from the home crowd were nullified by Bernard Langer's European charm offensive. Adopting the kind of canny diplomacy that used to be the reserve of Kofi Annan, Langer and his players, who would sign autographs and pose for photos with the United States galleries, won over the Detroit masses and ensured that very little ill feeling was directed at them. Europe thumped the Americans 8.5 to 9.5 as they killed them with kindness. Winning over the noisy New Yorkers may be a different kettle of fish for Europe here in 2025. It's the toughest market for the Europeans to play in, said Langer. The New York crowd is known to be that way, and they will be very boisterous and very loud. Hopefully the Europeans will be able to take all the heckling they're going to get and still perform to some extent, so the Ryder Cup will not be a blowout. The Ryder Cup has always been different. It's maybe the only tournament where people sometimes boo a good shot and applaud for a bad shot. It becomes very emotional. You don't want to take that away, but I think you need to be careful. As far as I can remember, the captains of both teams have always come together and tried to come up with an agreement and a handshake and say, okay, it's going to be competitive, it's going to be emotional, but we need to keep it under control. In the phony war, that's a prolonged prelude to the real hostilities. Bradley's backside-kicking call to arms was hardly a Langer-esque act of statesmanship, was it? We will see what transpires come September. We can only wonder meanwhile what Langer has achieved by then. The indefatigable German, who turns 68 in August, bounced back from a potentially career-ending Achilles injury last year to maintain his quite remarkable run of claiming at least one Champions Tour title every season since joining the over 50s circuit in 2007. It's now 47 wins and counting among the golden oldies. Retirement is certainly not an option. I don't see any immediate need or any reason to quit, he said of his startling competitive longevity. Life can throw something at you, and things can stop in a heartbeat, but I've always said that if I have the desire, the health and the success, then I will continue to play. The question on many a golfing lip is whether Tiger Woods will continue to play. While Langer marches on at 67, Tiger, with a strained, creaking frame that's as brittle as the Dead Sea Scrolls, muddles on with uncertainty. Woods hits his half-century at the end of this year and will be eligible to join Langer and the rest of the Aldians on the Champions Tour. For us, it would be a thrill to see Tiger come out and play the Champions Tour, said Langer. I'm going to get older and older here, and I may not be at the very top of my game when he comes out, but Tiger always moves the needle. It would be fantastic for Tiger and for our tour, for him to be competing out there. Only the best make it on this tour. Tiger's tale awaits another twist. For the tireless Langer, the golfing story goes on, says Nick Roger. Evening Times Sport, March 3. Hagi urged to follow father's path with summer move to Turkey. Report by Mark Walker. Former Chelsea, Juventus and Inter Milan star Adrian Mutu has urged Romanian countryman Yanis Hagi to move to Turkish football next season, just a few days before he plays there for Rangers against Fenerbahce. The Romanian international is out of contract at the end of the season and has been linked with moves to both Rangers' Europa League opponents Fenerbahce and bitter rivals Galatasaray. Hagi was born in Istanbul when his father, Yorgi, played for the club, and the former Real Madrid and Barcelona superstar also later managed them twice. And Mutu, who also played for Fiorentina, Verona, Parma, Livorno and Cesena in Italy, and now manages homeland club Petrolul Ploiesti, reckons Hagi's game would be suited to Turkish football. He said, on a media level, it would be crazy if he went to Turkey after what Jordi Hagi did there. Yanis has been to Italy before. He didn't manage to establish himself there, but it would not be bad for him to end up in Turkey because his father is super loved there. In fact, it would be a sensational move for Yanis. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, March 3. Rangers rivals set sights on lofty Europa League target. Report by Mark Walker. Fenerbahce and Turkey star Mert Mulder has warned Rangers they are not just interested in knocking them out of the Europa League, they are desperate to win the competition. Rangers face a daunting task in Istanbul this week for the first leg of the round of 16 clash with Jose Mourinho's team. Barry Ferguson's side are in dismal form after losing 3 home games in a row, and that's in stark contrast to their hosts. Fenerbahce have not lost since the beginning of December, and their 3-0 weekend win made it 6 wins in their last 8 games. Mulder opened the scoring for them at the weekend, and the 33 times capped defender has targeted reaching the latter stages of the tournament. He said, all our focus is on Rangers now, but we make no secret that we want to win the Europa League. We're still in 3 competitions, and we think we can win them all. We always play to win every match, home and away. We don't look at what other teams are doing, because we have confidence in our own ability. I think we are playing well at the moment. The manager can play me in any position he wants. I only care about helping this team win. To win 3-0 ahead of playing Rangers was good preparation, but if I am honest, we wanted more goals. We are ready to do our best in Europe as well. Meanwhile, Fenerbahce fans backed Mourinho after his controversial week, where he was accused of racism after claiming rivals Galatasaray's bench jumped around like monkeys by displaying a huge banner which stated, "We stand with you," aimed at their manager. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, March 3. Scotland revamped squad with fresh faces for Wales showdown. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Gregor Townsend has added 3 players to his Scotland squad ahead of this Saturday's Six Nations showdown against Wales at Murrayfield. Edinburgh's Matt Curry returns after scoring a hat-trick against Munster on Friday night, having recovered from a concussion sustained against Zebre. He is joined by clubmate Ben Muncaster, who also impressed in Edinburgh's win in Cork. Glasgow Warriors prop Nathan Macbeth, who crossed the try line in his side's narrow defeat to Ospreys, has also been called up. Meanwhile, Luke Crosby and Jack Mann have been ruled out through injury, while Ali Price and Ross McCann have returned to Edinburgh Rugby. Scotland began their Six Nations campaign with a 31-19 victory over Italy at Murrayfield. Subsequently, they suffered defeats to Ireland, 18-32, and England, 15-16. Currently, Scotland sits fourth in the standings, with one win from 3 matches. So the upcoming home match provides an opportunity for Scotland to improve their position in the championship, given the fact that Wales lie bottom of the table. Report by Robbie Hanratty. Evening Times Sport, March 3. Campaign to tackle sectarian attitudes in football, marking its 10th anniversary. Report by Anne Fotheringham. A pioneering campaign aimed at tackling sectarian attitudes in football is marking its 10th anniversary. Pitch Perfect, a partnership between equality charity Nil by Mouth and City of Glasgow College, is backed by UEFA and has now supported more than 1,000 students. The scheme gives students the opportunity to create marketing campaigns highlighting the impact of sectarian behaviour and finding ways of bringing people together to celebrate diversity. Judges for the final, where groups must present their perfected pitch while being filmed by a camera crew, have included names such as Glasgow comic book king Mark Miller and BBC Scotland presenter Annie Maguire. The winning entry is then commissioned by Nil by Mouth. Previous triumphs include Just the Tip of the Iceberg in 2017, Kiss Bigotry Goodbye, which brought thousands of football fans together online to challenge negative perceptions of the sport, and Sectarianism is a Turn-Off, which saw students draw on the experience of friends and classmates to discover how the use of sectarian language or posting sectarian content online impacted on a potential love match. Last year's winning campaign, Put a Sock in Sectarianism, is currently in use in schools across Lanarkshire. The project has won praise at Holyrood as well as backing from European football's governing body, UEFA. Amanda McSorley, Curriculum Head of Marketing, Advertising and Public Relations at City of Glasgow College, said, Pitch Perfect offers students a unique opportunity to work on a campaign that addresses an important and complex issue, engaging them in meaningful and difficult discussions. Over 6 months, students collaborate with industry professionals and have the opportunity to bridge the gap between academic knowledge and practical experience. Through working with Nil by Mouth, students don't just leave with heightened employability skills, they gain motivation, confidence, and a professional insight into marketing practices. Head judge and owner of McGowan Marketing, Emily McGowan, said, This is a dynamic and challenging competition which helps develop so many of the skills young creatives need as they launch their careers. We want more people to be bold and brave with their marketing, and concepts like this encourage the next generation to embrace big ideas and issues. It's also lovely to see how much it means to the lecturers who do so much to support and encourage their students. During the final, they sit at the back of the room like proud, if nervous, parents. I really wish something like this had been available when I was starting out, and it's amazing that more than 1,000 students have benefited from it over the past decade. Philippa Linus, the 2024 winner, said, Being involved in this competition has been a real highlight of my time at college, as it gave me the chance to sharpen my skills and test myself, while at the same time encouraging me to work collaboratively with the rest of the group to reach our goals. We now have real-life experience of designing, pitching and launching a campaign, as well as our academic qualifications and strong friendships as a result. I feel Pitch Perfect has given me a real head start for achieving the career I want to have. Report by Anne Fotheringham.
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service